Hey guys, I'm Oscar Mikey. So today we're going to look at the gameplay reveal trailer for Battlefield 2042. We're going to do kind of a live breakdown of it, and we're going to look for details in there together. We're going to go frame by frame, scene by scene, and we're just going to break the whole thing down. I'm going to tell you guys about all the little details that I've noticed, and we're just going to explore the trailer, look at the different specialists, try and identify some of the weapons, the vehicles, take a good long look at the map, and try and see what's going on in there. And overall, just try and get a better sense of how this game's going to play, what it's going to be all about, and try and figure out what can we expect from this game when we finally get our hands on it during the open beta and at launch. So let's get right into it. So in this first scene here, our character is inside a helicopter and they are kind of rising up out of the stadium. I'm just going to put this on a loop here. So we can see we're in some kind of helicopter. We can see actually in the bottom right corner, it's the Nightbird or the Little Bird. There's lots of information here. The first thing I noticed was the HUD elements on the left, the mini-map. You can see that you have the HUD elements for the flags or the clusters or sectors that DICE are calling them. And each cluster has multiple capture points within it. And you can actually see that one of them, the A cluster, it's shaped differently than the rest. It has a little arrow pointing up into the minimap. So I suspect that is something, that's a HUD element that lets you know kind of which cluster you're closest to or which cluster you're currently occupying on the map. And also when at the beginning of the clip, you can see here that there are multiple capture points. I'm assuming those are capture points. You can see them kind of in the middle and bottom right of your screen now. There's A1, A2, and A3. A2 is kind of on the very far side of the screen there. But I'm guessing that those are the capture points within this cluster. This is the A cluster we're currently occupying right now. Well, that's an example of the cluster system that they talked about in their live stream and in their press releases. Another little detail that I noticed, the weapon that this character is carrying is the PBX-9, and it's from the very limited research that I've done on this so far, this is a submachine gun that comes in two different variants, and we can see this on the side of the weapon actually. There's markings indicating that it can use the 9mm cartridge or the 45 ACP cartridge. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to do a caliber conversion as a modification on this weapon. It was a thing in Modern Warfare 2019, and it was really cool. You could do a 9mm conversion on the M4, you could do a 300 blackout conversion on the M13 or the MCX, and you could do a 545 conversion on the AKM, AK-47. I love those modification options in Modern Warfare. They're really cool, really opens up the possibilities, and those conversions really change the behavior and the ballistic characteristics of the weapon and makes them feel like something completely fresh and new, and it's really fun to play with those customization options. Also, in the bottom right corner, you can see the loadout that we're currently working with. I think that this specialist, this player is using right now is the medic or the healing specialist. I forget her name, but she has in her primary slot, she has the PBX-9. In the secondary slot, she has what looks like a Glock or something similar. It's a very squarish handgun with a suppressor on it. And then in the third slot from the left, it looks like that could be the healing, the Surette pistol that lets you revive down teammates from afar. Looks like you have 12 uses with that. And then the next gadget down looks like a rocket launcher with 5 uses. And then next to that, you have your grenade. So that's your loadout there. That looks really cool. And just taking a look around at the environment, it looks absolutely massive. In front, you've got that Osprey vehicle with the jet propulsion, motors on the wings. You've got a jet in the distance. That looks like a Russian jet, actually. That looks like the SU flanker jet, stealth fighter, whatever it is. And then also you have the Apache attack helicopter on the left there. It's kind of passing by as the jets are doing their flybys. And then, of course, you have a bunch of infantry on the ground, some transport vehicles. There's a tank down there in the distance. There's a couple of tanks, actually. The map is absolutely massive. It's huge. And everybody's just rolling in towards the city. It looks like shit's about to go down here. So kind of moving forward, we can see the perspective from inside the Apache. The pilot is taking out another helicopter, firing a rocket at it. We're kind of inside the city now. It's kind of been overtaken by sand dunes and things. Some nice air combat gameplay here, some flares being shot out by the alligator. He's got a couple of different rockets, armaments, and then some countermeasures and what looks like possibly a repair option, which is not new to the Battlefield franchise. That's been featured for plenty of vehicles and vehicle combat type scenarios. We can see from the perspective of this player, the Apache getting blown up and just falling down. And actually a small little thing you might not have noticed, the body of the pilot is falling out. I'm just going to slow it down a little bit for you here. As just after it explodes, he just kind of flops out and falls down to the ground there. It's kind of funny. This weapon that this specialist is holding, it looks like some kind of sniper rifle. If you take a look at it in the HUD at the bottom right, it's a very long rifle with a bipod. I'm going to go more into detail about the infantry weaponry that was featured in this trailer in a new video, a similar video to this one coming out soon. But it definitely looks like some kind of sniper rifle. It's a bolt-action mag-fed at the bottom, and possibly a very high-caliber sniper rifle, so that's really cool. Next clip here is of McKay using his grappling hook. You know, repping for Canada, he's just out for a rip, you know, just using his grappling hook, just chilling, you know, swinging through the air like Spider-Man, no problem.
Just out for fucking great.
And then when we get to the top here, we can see somebody doing a takedown on an enemy character. Looks like he's just using his knife there, and yeah, I have heard, and I'm sure many of you have heard as well, that takedowns are going to be in third person, kind of similar to how they are in Modern Warfare. And also, there's a couple of new things in the HUD at the bottom. We've got that big bolt-action sniper rifle, but we've also got a Magnum revolver. I'm not really sure what this is modeled after. I don't know what caliber it is either. We don't even see it in the trailer itself. We don't see the character wielding it at any point. But it could be a 44 Magnum. It could be 357. We don't know, but we can safely assume that it's going to be a skill cannon type weapon. Very powerful, slow firing, limited ammunition, that kind of thing. And then we get a good look at this sandstorm here. The character's just looking up at it. And then we get kind of a flyby in the air with the Osprey just flying past it. It looks amazing. The smoke and particle effects in this game are really cranked up. And then we get a good shot of the tank being called in. This is a feature that the devs have talked about a lot, is the ability to call in vehicles. Just bring up a tablet and call in a tank or a transport vehicle to get yourself around or reinforce an area. Like if you come across enemy armor, you'll be able to call in a tank and reinforce your guys and fight your enemy effectively. So here we see some tank gameplay, some stuff blowing up, just these forces rolling through, shooting down a helicopter. That's really cool. And then we see these vehicles kind of jumping around over the sand dunes and stuff. These are called LATV-4s. Very mobile, very fast. They do have weapons on them, though. It looks like they have machine guns on top, and they're just kind of chasing each other around. They blow each other up. And we can see that they have multiple seats. There's a driver's seat, a gunner seat, and 2 passengers. Really cool. And as the driver here, if you look at the HUD in the bottom right, it looks like he has access to some kind of gadget or countermeasure or smoke, maybe? I'm not really sure what that is, but it looks like he can do something. He can deploy some kind of countermeasure or smoke. So this part here is really cool. I noticed this on my first kind of watch of the trailer, and a bunch of other people noticed too. Jack Frags pointed it out. He made a note of it in his video. But look at the tank treads here. As he's driving over this car, the tank treads are deforming or being displaced by the car that he's driving over. This is really impressive. Like, I'm really excited about the vehicle physics and the changes, all of the overall changes that are coming with vehicles in this game, because in past Battlefield games, vehicles have just all kind of felt like bumper cars, you know? They have physics and they can, you know, jostle around and they are affected by the terrain, but I've never seen anything like this in a Battlefield game before. It looks very, much more realistic, and it looks like the vehicles are going to handle a lot, not necessarily nicer, but more realistically. And that's something I really appreciate. I'm really looking forward to that. So in the next couple of scenes, we see some jets flying over, some infantry fighting, explosions in the distance. We get kind of a brief glimpse of the tornado there, which is really cool. It kind of smashes a helicopter into the side of the skyscraper. And everybody decides to run inside for cover. This is where we get a look at the plus system. Everybody's been talking about this feature. It looks really cool, really neat. There has been some concern from some people, including myself. DICE did talk about this at length in their live stream the other day, and they did talk about how it's meant to be more of a supplemental thing to infantry combat. This isn't supposed to completely change how each weapon type is supposed to operate. The example that they gave is it's not supposed to change a SMG into a sniper rifle. So you can't just not think about your loadout, roll in with whatever weapon you want, and then there are no consequences to that because you can change it into whatever you want. That's not how it's going to be in the final game. It's kind of meant to only slightly expand the use cases for your weapon. So like each weapon archetype is still going to fit a certain use case. Sniper rifles are going to be best for long range. SMGs are going to be great for close range, and so on and so forth. And the attachments in the plus system are only going to enhance, slightly enhance, or widen that weapon's usefulness at those different ranges and with those different archetypes. So that kind of put my mind at ease a little bit. I was a little bit skeptical about this system. I thought the balance was going to be way off for this, but if DICE properly balance this, I think it's going to be a great addition. So now we're up on the rooftop with our new loadout here with the K30. This guy here doing ATV C4 on that helicopter. And this specialist that this guy is using is called Sundance. This is the guy with the wingsuit. So this is a special item just for Sundance. He's the only one that can use the wingsuit. But again, he can use any weapon or gadget, I think, that he wants, just like any other specialist. But the wingsuit is unique to him. Cool. And then they jump on the zipline here. They jump and they go across to the next skyscraper. We see a quick shot of the Hind helicopter, a Russian Hind attack helicopter down there. It looks like it's swinging around, making a pass, and it's going to come up and target our guys here on the rooftop. And we can see as this Sundance character ADS is on this enemy, we can see a nameplate pop up. So we know that's coming back. That's really cool. Spotting is something that we don't actually know a whole lot about. That's something that DICE hasn't really spoke about yet. It's kind of a smaller detail about the game, but it has been a controversial feature in past Battlefield games. I am really curious about how they're going to address that in this newest game. And then we can see the Hind helicopter comes up from it rises up and starts attacking. We can see actually that it has two gunner seats, or two machine guns or autocannons on either side on the wings. And they're firing off axis. They're firing in different directions. So it's possible this means that two different players are operating these guns and using them independently from one another. The pilot is not in control of those. But if we zoom in there, we can see that this Hind helicopter has what looks like rocket pods on it. And it most certainly has countermeasures and other gadgets that can be used by the pilot while operating the thing. So that's really cool. This is actually a really scary looking helicopter. I would not want to play a game of chicken with this thing. And then here we can see Sundance is like, nope, screw that. I'm gonna yeehaw. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm not going up against that thing. He jumps off the side of the skyscraper, opens up his wingsuit, and he just flies away. We can see the Apache there kind of flying beside him. They're kind of doing a ballet in the air, these two. And then we kind of soar around and we can see the tornado around the side of the buildings there. The tornado has formed and it's coming into the city, and it's already starting to pull some people in. We can see that there's a couple of players up there with their parachutes open, and they're just kind of circling the tornado. It looks like it's pulling them in there. In this shot, we can see that the UI, the HUD for this character is kind of glitching out. They're standing almost right next to the tornado, and it's kind of affecting their UI, which is interesting. So that might be a good indicator of how close or how far you are from these weather events, or maybe other things. I don't know. If there are other Levolution type events that happen in other maps, the same thing could happen. And we can see here that it's pulling some of the vehicles in now. It's pulling in this transport vehicle, this Osprey vehicle. And we're just kind of flying around inside it now. And that's pretty much it for the main trailer. There's a couple of clips at the end here, the next era. And then we see this shot here is kind of, it very much looks like Davmand Peak. You know, when you jump off the helipad and parachute down to the compound down below. This reminds me of that from Battlefield 3. And then we see here, we can see a helicopter flying over, lots of explosions, the hovercraft, some infantry fighting here. This is on, I think this is on the Alaska map. All-out warfare. And we get to see some vehicle combat here, some tanks, helicopters flying over jets. Really cool. Fighting on an ever-changing battlefield. Some infantry combat. I think this is back on Hourglass. We're inside the stadium now, with some fighting taking place. We saw a little bit of destruction there. We do get a glimpse of a riot shield there with the character on the left. And we get a brief look at the Surette pistol as well, the healing Surette, which looks really neat. And then we come to the orbital map. We see the rocket launch, and we see a tank in the background kind of landing with the jet propulsion system just kind of softening the landing there. That's really cool. These guys are standing really close to the rocket launch. I don't think you would be alive. I'm pretty sure that would melt you very quickly. But yeah, there it is. There's my quick little live breakdown with you guys of the gameplay trailer for Battlefield 2042. I hope you guys enjoyed that. In my next video, I'm going to be taking a deeper dive. I'm going to be looking for all the weapons that I can, all the infantry weapons, and I'm going to be breaking those down. I'm going to be pairing them up with their real-life counterparts. The community has done an incredible job researching these things. I'm by no means a firearms expert, so I'm relying heavily on the community to do some of this work. But there are some interesting finds, a couple of additions I couldn't identify right away, and they're actually really interesting weapons in real life. So stick around for that video. It's going to be really cool. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Subscribe to see my future videos, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.